"Wow, you look like a monster. Such a ruining of beauty." Suddenly exposed to her scars, those words uttered by someone echoed well throughout the venue. The lady, hiding her face as if frightened and trembling, appeared to be crying, prompting me to instinctively grab her slender wrist. "Let's get out of here. There's no need to stay in a place like this." Her eyes, pleading as she looked at me, were as beautiful as ever. Unable to hide my outrage at those who had hurt her, we left the venue. This situation would rapidly change after that. My name is John. I'm just an ordinary guy with nothing particularly remarkable about me. After graduating from a local public high school, I went to a decent university in the metropolitan area and chose not to return to my hometown for work. I work at a fairly large company as an accountant. I struggle against numbers every day, but except for the busy end-of-month period, I often get to leave on time and have weekend off. There's a branch office in the town where my family lives, so I've thought about eventually moving back. One day my boss told me that I've accumulated too much paid leave and need to use some, so I took the opportunity to go back to my hometown. It felt strange being home outside of the usual holiday seasons. Yet, the familiar air of my childhood home was somewhat soothing, and by the second day, I was relaxed enough to nap on the couch with our family dog, Wooly. Wooly is a white toy poodle, named by my dad because he looks like a sheep. He's an absolute angel and incredibly cute. At one point, my phone pinged with a notification by the social media message. It was from Emily, a childhood friend. "Long time no see. I heard you're back home. Is that true?" A message with a sticker which is cute, popular character tilting its head popped up. Emily lives next door, and we've been childhood friends for ages. But it's not like there's any romantic feeling between us. We're more like siblings. I heard she's working as a journalist for a local newspaper now. Her talent for English and her inquisitive nature still seem to serve her well. Right now, I'm just chilling with Wooly, so bored with nothing to do. It's so unfair that you get to take weekday off. There's a high school reunion tonight at 7. It's just a small gathering with about 20 people. I'll let Joshua, the organizer, know if you're coming. Really? Count me in. Thanks. I replied with a sticker from my favorite basketball comic, and suddenly, I was looking forward to the reunion that evening. The high school I attended was a relaxed academic school in the countryside. Not many went on to prestigious universities in the metropolitan area, with most aiming for the local national university. Those who went to universities in the metropolitan area were either top students, had specific departments they wanted to join, or didn't have the grades for national universities. I was supposed to easily get into a national university, but I got the flu on the day of the common exams and couldn't sit for them. I ended up going to a private university after I recovered. I was devastated at the time, but looking back, I landed a job and enjoyed my 4 years there, so no regrets. But since then, I've been extra cautious about my health. High school was incredibly fun, filled with silly antics. All the guys in my class were great, and at graduation, we were crying like babies. Emily, my childhood friend, was in the same high school and the same class. Even now, when we meet, most of our conversations revolve around those fun high school days. In that class, there was one girl who caught my attention. Her name was Olivia. Her name had a beautiful ring to it, fitting perfectly for such a lovely girl. She was always smiling and adorable, smart, and the star of the volleyball team. She was the embodiment of grace and intelligence, yet so humble that everyone liked her. The thought of her possibly attending the reunion made my heart race a bit. I wonder if everyone has grown up. I don't feel like I've changed much. With a bit of anticipation, I started thinking about what to wear. The reunion held at a bar. I spotted Joshua, the organizer, and went over to say hi. "Hey, John, long time no see. I heard from Emily that you were coming, so I was looking forward to seeing you. Long time no see. Perfect timing. Really appreciate you organizing this, Joshua. Must have been tough, huh? Nah, I just arranged the venue, and everyone's handling their own orders. It's not a big deal, Joshua said, laughing. I've always thought this aspect of him is truly charming. Of course, he's got the looks, the style, and on top of that, he's a high-flying public servant. I wonder why he isn't more popular with girls. He's mentioned sadly that his work is so demanding he hardly has time to date, and even when he does, he struggles to find time to meet up, leading to quick breakups. Despite his high status, he faces his own set of struggles, which somehow gives me undefeatable feeling. Afterward, familiar faces continued to enter the venue one after another. Emily arrived with a girlfriend, and we high-fived, laughing about how long it had been. It's weird, right? Everyone's aged and changed, yet we can still recognize each other. It's mysterious. Well, you haven't changed at all, Emily. Still as petite as ever. Can't help it if I didn't grow taller. You haven't changed much either, John. You're just the epitome of average. You should take a leaf out of Joshua's book. He has always been a looker, hasn't he? We're just not in the same league. The same jokes from the past felt incredibly enjoyable. Even before we started drinking, the nostalgia seemed to raise everyone's spirits, reminding us of our high school days. Those were days filled with laughter and joy, no matter what happened. The atmosphere that brought us back to those times made everything feel even more enjoyable. Suddenly, there was a stir near the entrance. Looking over, I saw two women entering the venue. One of them was Samantha. She was the go-to person in our class, always at the center of everything. Her assertive and sometimes high-handed manner made her a bit difficult for me to deal with. The other girl, hiding her face with long bangs, was unrecognizable at first. As I was wondering who she might be, someone exclaimed, "Isn't that Olivia?" and the murmuring gradually grew louder. Indeed, the girl with the long bangs was Olivia, the beauty of the class. Her once confident posture was now hunched, and her face hidden, nervous demeanor was far from the Olivia we remembered. On the other hand, Samantha was pulling Olivia along, forcibly integrating her into the mingling groups. "Olivia, what happened? You look like a different person." I hadn't been back home in a long time, so I had no idea what had happened to Olivia. I thought Emily, always in the know, might have some information, but she just shook her head. I heard she was in a traffic accident during university, but it wasn't life-threatening, so I thought she was okay. A traffic accident? Yeah, I heard it was minor injuries, but after that, she changed her WhatsApp and email accounts, so I lost contact with her. I don't know the details. I see. It wasn't like Olivia to change her accounts and cut off contact without telling anyone, but I didn't have any more information. Feeling oddly unsettled, I was left with a lingering sense of discomfort. Cheers. Following Joshua's call, we raised our glasses high. The refreshing fizz of the cold beer passed through my throat, making me exhale with satisfaction. Acting like an old man, are we? We're already in our late 20s. Laughing with the guys around me, I took another hearty swig. The bartender brought more beers to our table, and we continued to drink merrily. Joshua. In a deliberately high voice, Samantha, sitting next to me and Joshua, began to flirt with him. She wore a revealing dress that accentuated her figure and had a confident smile as she wedged herself between Joshua and me. She's not interested in me at all. I wondered what Olivia, who came with Samantha, was doing now. Looking around, I spotted Olivia alone in a corner, not talking to anyone, her head bowed. Samantha's perfume was overpowering, making me feel uncomfortable, so I decided to head over to Olivia. "Olivia, long time no see." "John, it's been a while." I was relieved to see her smile on her lips from behind her long bangs. We made small talk, and I sipped my drink leisurely. Eventually, Emily joined us, and as the three of us chatted, Olivia seemed to become more relaxed and even started to laugh. "Hey, help me out here." Sitting next to Emily was Joshua, who had been entangled with Samantha just moments before. Was Samantha always like that? So pushy, it's kind of scary. Scary, she's just a classmate, man. She just keeps pushing without considering how I feel, and I don't know what to do about it. Seeing a handsome guy like Joshua overwhelmed by a girl's advances was funny, and we all laughed even more. Despite his good looks, Joshua seemed to have very little experience with romance and was also quite shy, which apparently made things difficult for him. "Ah, there you are, Joshua." Samantha, apparently having been looking for Joshua, sat down next to him again. She grabbed his arm and leaned in close, making it obvious to everyone that she was targeting him. Trapped between Samantha and Emily, Joshua gave me a troubled look, but there was nothing I could do except offer a helpless expression in return. "Samantha, Joshua seems a bit uncomfortable." Emily's cold comment made Samantha smile triumphantly. "Oh, Joshua didn't say that. You clinging to him like that prevents others from talking to him. John and Olivia hadn't seen each other in a long time." Samantha frowned at Emily's words. Then, for some reason, she glared at Olivia and smirked maliciously. "Oh, Olivia, you wanted to talk to Joshua too, despite looking like that?" Saying that, Samantha leaned in and lifted Olivia's bangs. Olivia's bare face was exposed to everyone. Shockingly, there was a large, twisted scar running from her forehead down to her left cheek. "Stop it." Olivia tried to pull away from Samantha, but Samantha wouldn't let go of her hair. Olivia closed her eyes tightly, looking like she was about to cry. Olivia had a hit-and-run accident and ended up with a scar on her face. It's such a pity, isn't it? She had such a cute face. And now it's marred by this ugly scar, and the culprit hasn't been found yet, right? Did you have some grudge against someone? Olivia, you were quite popular, weren't you? Well, not anymore. Samantha's laughter sounded twisted and ugly. Feeling the madness in her eyes, I stepped between Olivia and Samantha, shielding Olivia's face from the crowd. "Samantha, that's really low." "What? I'm just being a good friend by bringing poor, injured Olivia out. Isn't that thoughtful?" "What are you even talking about?" Samantha's words made no sense to me at all. She seemed to think she hadn't done anything wrong, still wearing that twisted smile. "Well, she looks like a monster. It's ruining the beauty." Those words, uttered by someone, echoed loudly in the venue. Olivia, hiding her face and trembling as if scared, seemed to be crying, and I instinctively grabbed her slender wrist. "Let's get out of here. There's no need for us to stay here." Her eyes, pleading as she looked at me, were as beautiful as ever. Without hiding my anger at those who had hurt her, we left the venue. I led Olivia by the hand, walking aimlessly. It was the weekend and the streets were busy, but no one paid us any attention. After walking for about 15 minutes, Olivia quietly called my name, "John." Sorry." I quickly let go of her hand, and through the gap in her bangs, I could see her beautiful eyes. "It's okay, I'm sorry. Were you having fun before? Because of me?" "It's not like that at all. How about we start over, just the two of us?" "Really?" "Of course, let's go. How about that bar over there?" She nodded in agreement to my suggestion. That somehow made me incredibly happy, and my heart leapt with joy. Trying to hide those feelings, I hurried us toward the bar. We were shown to a semi-private booth, and after toasting with beers again, we naturally started talking. During our conversation, Olivia shared the story of her accident. It happened in my second year of university. I was coming back from a part-time job, and it had gotten dark. But I was walking through a residential area on a path I used every day, so I wasn't particularly cautious. Then, a red compact car hit me from behind. The impact was so severe that I lost consciousness before I could even feel the pain. When I woke up, I was in the hospital with bandages wrapped around my face. Seeing the permanent scar after the bandages were removed made me cry countless times. I felt so hopeless, thinking I couldn't go outside with this face, and I ended up shutting myself in for a while. That sounds really tough. Yeah, I still hadn't fully come to terms with it. During that time, Samantha came to visit me. She said it was pitiful and claimed to be my friend. She was genuinely concerned and visited me occasionally. We also kept in touch through WhatsApp. I don't understand why she did what she did today. Olivia looked down again. Her expression was almost entirely hidden by her long bangs. But even so, I could tell she was probably wearing a sad expression right now. Didn't you keep in touch with anyone else? Like Emily, you were pretty close in high school, right? Samantha told me that with a face like this, no one would want to associate with me, and that I would only get hurt. I believed her and thought I had to live hiding away from people as much as possible. But you came to the reunion today. Samantha convinced me, saying it would be fine because she was there, but to be made a spectacle of like that. I couldn't understand why Samantha acted the way she did. It seemed clear to me that there was malice in her actions. That twisted smile of hers was frightening. To be honest, I can't see Samantha as a good person you describe. I felt like her true nature was what we saw today. Seeing your scar, I don't think anyone would shun her or dislike her because of it. I'm sure our high school classmates, who know so many good things about you, wouldn't cut ties with you just because of a scar on her face. So, it feels like Samantha was the one pushing you to isolate herself. Could it be? Do you feel something off about Samantha too? Olivia seemed to be deep in thought, looking down. After a while, she looked up as if she had made a decision. I hadn't told anyone, but I saw the face of the hit-and-run driver. What? I didn't know him, but I saw him again unexpectedly later. I couldn't believe it and thought I must be mistaken. What she shared next was astonishing, and I felt strongly that we couldn't leave her accident unresolved with the perpetrator still unknown. And so, I reached out to my two powerful allies. These allies are Joshua and Emily. While Joshua only claims to be a public servant, he is actually a detective with the state police. True, he is a local government employee, but he finds it troublesome to be bombarded with questions when people find out he's a detective. That's why only those close to him know about this. Emily, with her journalist's instincts and network, coupled with her proactive nature, is adept at gathering information and conducting investigations. Also, given her good relationship with Olivia and her helpful nature, I hoped she could offer support, so I decided to share the story with her. I did a bit of digging into Olivia's accident, but the investigation was strangely cut off at a certain point, and I couldn't find out more. Maybe there came under pressure. The meeting place was a restaurant in front of the station. After listening to Olivia's story, I sent her home and then called the two of them. It seemed they were still at the reunion venue, and they hurried over right away. The person Olivia saw with Samantha. You mean the suspect was walking with Samantha? Samantha is known for flaunting her lifestyle, and she's boasted about having a relative who's a member of the national parliament. Which parliament member? From the Democratic Party, Ryan. He's infamous in certain circles for his shady dealings. His popularity is waning, and he barely made a comeback in the last election through proportional representation, but it's doubtful he'll make it next time. That guy, it's not out of the realm of possibility for him to exert pressure. Despite calling the meeting, I found myself sidelined as they rapidly advanced the conversation. I briefly wondered if those two were a good match for each other. Lost in irrelevant thoughts, I was brought back to reality when Emily slammed her hand on the table. John, are you listening? We're going to commence the plan. While I was zoning out, They had apparently devised a plan. Their confident smiles were reassuring, yet slightly intimidating. Their plan was straightforward. Joshua agreed to reinvestigate the case, while Emily would look into the circumstances at the time and Samantha's social connections. Based on this, they planned to use Samantha's interest in Joshua to call her out and get a confession. Joshua invited Samantha to a dimly lit, stylish bar. He had a microphone in his pocket that was connected to Emily's phone. It could record and pick up voices, a very handy device. Olivia, upon her request, joined Emily and me in a corner seat far from where Joshua and Samantha were, to observe the situation. Joshua and Samantha sat next to each other at the bar counter. The bartender was an acquaintance of Joshua, and he had been briefed beforehand. Joshua's drink was prepared without alcohol. "I'm so happy you invited me, Joshua. I've wanted to talk more with you since the reunion." Joshua, usually shy, was lavishly flattering Samantha. Becoming generous, Samantha laughed in a high-pitched voice, her spirits high. It seemed she was quite drunk. Olivia watched them silently, with intensity. "Speaking of Olivia, have you been in touch with her since then? It was you who brought her to the reunion, right? Talking about another girl here, isn't that a bit tactless? You know John, right? Seems like he's interested in Olivia." Joshua casually brought me up, his face wearing a sly grin, as he questioned Samantha. With his good looks, that smile could easily deceive. To me, it seemed utterly unnatural. "John, oh, that guy, he was protecting Olivia at the reunion, right, I see." Samantha raised her voice disinterestedly, then started fiddling with her hair. Seemingly bored with the topic not being about her, she frowned, clearly displeased. It was shocking to see Olivia's scar. Even though it was planned, Olivia tensed up. Emily rubbed her back, looking at her worriedly. I was watching them to make sure I didn't miss any of her actions or expressions. Right. Poor thing. Such an ugly, big scar. Her life's practically over. Can't even go outside. Wonder what you'll do now. I thought you were close. You sound quite indifferent for someone who came to the reunion together. Well, it's none of my business, but I have to admit, watching a girl who used to be so popular become a shut-in has been quite entertaining. Samantha's face twisted into that same distorted smile. This is her true nature. Utterly twisted and corrupt. That girl, after the accident, she became a bit clingy when I showed her a little kindness. Well, I orchestrated that. I made sure she was isolated from everyone else and then played helpful person. She has no idea I was behind her accident. Samantha laughed heartily, downing her cocktail in one gulp. It was a cocktail that tasted good but had a high alcohol content. Joshua, knowingly offering her drinks, is quite cunning. It seems the strategy to get her drunk and talking is a great success. How did you manage it? Joshua's tone was gentle, but it was an interrogation. He's a master at questioning. Using a mix of soft and hard tactics, he was drawing out information from her. I had a friend help out. Of course, I paid them well for their trouble. It's something only someone who has charm like me could pull off. Amazing, isn't it? First, I filed a stolen vehicle report to hide a car, then had them hit her with it. It was late, so no one was around, and the license plate was hard to see. They just took a little drive afterwards and abandoned the car, since it was the actual owner driving. No other fingerprints would be found. Just had to get my friend to talk to the police, and it was no big deal. Everything was done by others, so I won't get caught. Smart, right? Yeah, really. I've disliked her since high school. Everyone was all about Olivia, but she's nothing special. I'm the superior one, right? Cuter, right? I should have been the only one in the spotlight. As she spoke, Samantha became increasingly agitated. Without the need for a microphone, their voices carried over to us. Samantha was jealous of Olivia. That's why she resorted to such a heinous act. It was just like the prideful Samantha. She couldn't stand the thought that Olivia might be better than her. Is that the reason? Quite selfish, isn't it? Joshua stopped smiling and narrowed his eyes. The soft atmosphere vanished, replaced by a tense one. Faced with Joshua's change, Samantha seemed lost for words. Samantha, the truth is, I'm this kind of person. As he said that and pulled out a badge from his inner pocket, Samantha's expression grew increasingly stiff and pale. What Joshua produced was a police badge. It was something that proved his identity. I've recorded our conversation. Would you mind discussing this in more detail? At the police station, of course. Samantha was stunned for a moment but eventually agreed to accompany him, seemingly resigned. Things would clarify everything. It was just when I too had breathed a sigh of relief. Olivia rushed in front of Samantha. Samantha, I trusted you all this time. It's disappointing. What, after all your dependency on me? You should just stay hidden away with that ugly scar. Living with such a scar exposed is just shameful. Even so, I won't give up on my life. I'll struggle through, scarred and betrayed, and won't let things go your way. Stay out of my life from now on. Goodbye. After saying that, Olivia returned to us, standing tall with her back straight as she used to. Olivia, who declared her separation with a loud voice, looked cooler than anyone else, even if the expression she showed us was tearful. You did well, I said, patting Olivia's head. She then broke down crying. Emily teased me for making Olivia cry. I didn't know what to do. Samantha, escorted by Joshua, left the bar. Having been told goodbye by Olivia, she was dazed and no longer violent. After the inquiry, Samantha admitted to all her crimes, and the man who executed the plan was arrested. The congressman, Ryan, fell from grace due to Emily's expose. Years later, the case was resolved. Olivia cut her bangs short afterward. Despite the painful scar, her expression regained its brightness, and she smiled charmingly. Joshua knew a skilled plastic surgeon to introduce her. Determined to try various skin treatments, she was optimistic, even if the scar didn't disappear completely. I sincerely hope her efforts pay off. Olivia and I are in touch now. After returning to my city from vacation, I found myself wanting to see her. I decided to request a transfer to the branch office at hometown. Until then, I want to deepen our friendship through calls and SNS. After a while, I received a message from Emily. Surprisingly, she had started dating Joshua. It seems they hit it off after that incident and went out for drinks a few times, which led to them becoming a couple. Despite their busy careers, they're making it work. Olivia and I often talk about them. Olivia and Emily have rekindled their friendship, going out together often. Emily looks truly happy, and I'm a bit envious, Olivia mentioned. Charmed by Olivia's lively voice, I couldn't help but blurt out, "Hey, should we start dating too?" I could sense her catching her breath on the other end of the line, and I broke out in a cold sweat for fear that she would reject me. However, the voice that came through was cheerful, instantly lifting my spirits. "Yes, I'd like that. Hope we'll keep our relationship for long." The fact that we were only talking on the phone was frustrating. I found myself wanting to see her right away. Her cheerful voice made me happy. Her laughter made me happy. I knew then that I wanted to cherish and protect her, this precious person to me, forever. You're not wanted here, so get lost already. Alex, my boss, said this with a sneering grin. Today was the day of the company trip. Alex was supposed to hand out the tickets at the airport, our meeting place. Yet, on the day itself, suddenly there was no ticket for me. It wasn't a mistake in the arrangement. It seems my ticket was deliberately not prepared. All the other employees had gone to the boarding gate, leaving just me and Alex. Alex seemed to enjoy watching me struggle without a ticket. I had been looking forward to this for over a month, and this treatment was just too cruel. You weren't worth the ticket, so I did you a favor by not getting one. Wait a minute, you're saying I'm left behind by myself. Rather, you should be grateful that you can see me off. In this situation, I wonder where the element of gratitude towards him could possibly be. Alex, as if to say my confusion was the greatest entertainment in the world, showed a brimming smile. It was incredibly infuriating. That's how it is, so I'm off to enjoy France. See you. Alex, wait a minute. Ignoring my call, Alex disappeared towards the boarding gate. I was the only one left at the meeting place. I never imagined I would be harassed even on a company trip. No, perhaps it's because my poor thinking. Alex is a man who do anything mean when it comes to making me feel bad. I should have anticipated something like this could happen. I regretted the poorness of my ability to predict. I can't just give up and go home. Actually, I had an important matter to attend to in France. I cannot give up what I need to do because of the interference of such a vulgar person. I immediately started to take action. I refused to let this be the end of it. My heart was burning for revenge against Alex. My name is Brian, a 29-year-old office worker. It's been about half a year since I transferred to this company. To say it myself, I have a serious attitude towards work. I never compromise on the tasks I take on. If I just finish it off thinking this is good enough, I can't be at peace. I'm not a perfectionist, but there isn't a single job I finish without being satisfied with myself. In that manner, I spent my days working hard on the tasks at hand. In today's world, my serious attitude seems rare, and it seemed to inspire the other employees to get motivated. They accepted me right away and were actively cooperative in work. It was a grateful situation. To meet the expectations around me, I worked even harder. There's a senior who says the workplace has become lively since I joined. When someone says that, it just makes me even more motivated. At first glance, it might seem like a very fortunate work environment. However, there was one exception. My boss, Alex. Alex is someone who quickly wants to look down on people who seem superior. It's common to look down on people who are worse off, but Alex was the opposite. It was the so-called jealousy. His pride was unnecessarily high, and he couldn't stand anyone being better than him. I could tolerate it if Alex simply didn't like me deep down, as long as it was just to that extent. After all, it's something I can just ignore. However, Alex directly carried out one harassment after another against me. For instance, when my senior, Michael, invited me to dinner after work. The moment I stood up to leave the office, Alex called out to me. "Hey, Brian, where do you think you're going?" "I'm leaving because work is done." "What? Are you an idiot? Think about the company as a whole, not just yourself." Alex said this and let out an exaggerated sigh as if to show off. I couldn't grasp the intent behind his words and was left bewildered. "I've still got work left. You should have sensed that and acted accordingly." Alex grabbed a stack of documents on his desk and showed them to me. It was troubling to hear that, and it wasn't my responsibility, but... "You were invited to dinner by Michael, right? I heard you talking about it earlier." "So what if I was?" "It's not so what. As your superior, I have work left, so you, as my subordinate, should take the initiative to take it on." "But that's... I have a date with a girl I met on a dating app later." Alex said this and pushed the stack of documents onto me. The generous me will even contact Michael to cancel for you. Wait a minute, isn't this a bit too one-sided? That's how it is in a company. Alex said this and slammed my desk hard. The remaining people in the department were startled by the noise. At the edge of whether I can get a girlfriend or not, don't you dare go off to dinner with a colleague all carefree. Though I wanted to say it wasn't my business, I couldn't because of my position and ended up staying at work, explaining the situation to Michael. Pray that I can get a girlfriend. Alex said this with a malicious smile. Like this, Alex's insidious harassment against me continued as if it were a part of daily life. He would forcefully make it my responsibility for almost unrelated matters and lash out at me. And when he did, it was always in front of other employees. Just because you're a bit good at your job, your frivolous attitude is spreading around. It was an accusation that could not be more false. I don't recall ever getting frivolous, and there's no one around me who's affected. It was clear he just wanted to embarrass me. For Alex, who has the goal of looking down on others, whether it's unreasonable or not doesn't matter. Though he's in a supervisory position, he was nothing but a hindrance to the work. The harassment continued daily, but it wasn't particularly upsetting. Because I have many trustworthy colleagues. I even think it's a waste to expend real energy on anger towards someone like Alex. Despite the interference from his harassment, I could still achieve results at work. Each time, Alex would explode with anger towards me, but I ignored it. Then one day, it was decided that we would go to France for a company trip. It seemed like it was the first time abroad for a few people, and the workplace was excited. However, there was one slight worry. The person entrusted with the flight reservation was Alex. Well, surely even he wouldn't harass someone during a company trip. That's what I thought, but my worries were confirmed. On the day of the trip, I woke up earlier than planned. It seems I was looking forward to going to France more than I thought. I couldn't sleep the night before, just like a grade schooler excited about a field trip. Holding my travel bag, I headed to the airport with high spirits. Upon arriving at the meeting spot, I greeted my colleagues. Everyone was excited, and it made me happy to feel their excitement. I'm going to distribute the tickets shortly, so make sure you don't lose them. Alex started handing out the tickets one by one. My colleagues and senior supervisors were completing their boarding procedures one after the other. I waited for my turn with excitement. However, Alex was not giving me my ticket. Eventually, all the other employees had completed their boarding procedures, leaving me behind. Was this harassment intended to make me feel anxious? As I was wondering this, Alex pointed at me with a sneer. "What are you still doing here? You're not invited, so get lost." I was at a loss for words, not understanding his intention. I can't understand what's going on at all. Why am I being told to go home when I've just arrived at the meeting place and we're about to depart? I glared at Alex, unable to accept the situation. "You weren't worth the ticket, so I didn't get one for you." Wait a minute, are you saying I'm being left behind? Rather, you should be grateful that you can see me off. There is nothing to appreciate towards Alex in this situation. Alex seemed pleased, as if my confusion was the greatest entertainment in the world. That's how it is, so I'm off to enjoy France. Bye. Alex, wait. Ignoring my call, Alex disappeared towards the boarding gate. I was the only one left at the meeting place. I never imagined I would be subjected to harassment even on a company trip. Perhaps I should have been more careful about that. Alex is a man who do anything mean when it comes to making me feel miserable. I should have anticipated something like this. I regretted my lack of foresight. I couldn't just give up and go home. Actually, I had an unavoidable matter to attend to in France. Therefore, I had no choice but to secure a flight ticket on my own. I chased after the employees who had gone ahead and flew to France. Due to the time it took to secure a ticket on my own, I missed the first day's itinerary of the company trip. On the other hand, Alex, the organizer, arrived at the destination's luxury hotel with the employees. A social gathering was to be held at one of the local letting accommodation facilities. As organizer, Alex led the employees to check-in. Hearing that the hotel staff could speak English, Alex approached with confidence. I had a reservation under Alex. To which the hotel staff replied unexpectedly, "Where is the owner?" "The owner? What are you talking about?" Alex was confused by the sudden mention of the owner. Then, the hotel staff made a shocking statement. "If the owner is not present, the accommodation fee will be $50,000. What's that about? That's way too expensive." Shocked by the unexpected high accommodation cost, Alex protested to the hotel staff. However, no matter how much he appealed, the hotel staff wouldn't nod in agreement. The employees waiting behind him were puzzled, wondering what was going on. As Alex turned pale, not knowing what to do, I finally arrived at the hotel. My late arrival seemed less significant compared to the issue of the accommodation cost. I spoke to the hotel staff in French, who had been talking with Alex. The staff responded to me in French with a pleasant smile. Alex couldn't understand a word of what the hotel staff and I were talking. Then, the hotel staff addressed Alex in English. "We will not charge you for the accommodation. Please, this way." This situation took a 180-degree turn from what was said earlier, leaving Alex dumbfounded. It was unclear what happened, but if we didn't have to pay, it was a stroke of luck. Despite the unexpected trouble, Alex decided not to dwell on it. Thus, I made it in time for the social gathering and successfully joined everyone from the company. My colleagues were happy to see me, having arrived late. Of course, Alex was the exception. Having resolved the earlier trouble with the hotel staff, he returned to his usual condescending attitude. "Why is the person who was supposed to see us off here? I bought a ticket." You came here on your own." "I had no choice since you didn't arrange one for me, right?" "Why would I arrange a ticket for someone like you? Don't get cocky." I had to suppress the urge to tell him who was really being cocky. How long will this person continue with such childish behavior? I mean, it's pretty bold of you to show up here, aren't you embarrassed? Alex said this, seeking agreement from the other employees. Everyone looked uncomfortable. Alex was the only one who didn't notice. There's nothing embarrassing about being part of this company. You must have been so full of yourself, thinking you'd get a ticket. Shame on you. Shame on me. I wanted to throw those words right back at him. You wouldn't want to show incompetence to the next company president, would you? Yes, this social gathering was about to unveil a big event, the announcement of the company's next president. Man, I can't wait to see what kind of person the new president is. Alex seemed quite drunk, slurring his words. He was always loud, but today was especially unbearable. I'll get on great terms with the next president and get promoted. It was unclear where such confidence came from. Tired of responding, I moved away from Alex. After some time of mingling, the main event was about to start. James, current president, began his speech. This was the lead-up to the announcement of the new president. James's speech was serious but interspersed with just the right amount of humor. Everyone in the room was looking forward to the announcement of the new president. After finishing his speech, James took a deep breath and began to speak. The new president will be him. With those words, the lights in the room were dimmed. The sudden darkness stirred the crowd, but then a spotlight was turned on. It's you, Brian. Yes, the spotlight was on no one else but me. I confidently stood up and made my way to the stage. Alex's previously cocky demeanor had vanished. He turned ghostly pale, with his mouth hanging open. No wonder he was surprised. He could never have imagined that the new president would be a younger subordinate like me. Then, James revealed even more surprising facts to Alex. Brian is also the owner of this hotel and a very capable businessman. What? The news of my becoming the next president was shocking enough, but this revelation sent an even bigger shockwave through the room. Indeed, the owner that the hotel staff had asked Alex about earlier was me. Let me explain how I came to be chosen as the new president. I am currently the owner of this hotel, but it was previously owned by my father. I grew up as the son of a luxury hotel owner, living a life without any difficulties. James, who often stayed at our hotel, became personally acquainted with my father and developed a relationship over time. James became personally close with my father, building a rapport over time. Amidst this, my father introduced me to James. He recommended me as a successor to James, who was in search of one. It seems my father had long recognized my potential as a businessman. Afterward, I succeeded my father as the owner of the hotel. Around that time, I received an invitation from James to join our company. And surprisingly, he wanted to entrust me with the position of president right away. Receiving an offer from James of the current company filled me with gratitude. However, I couldn't become the president without properly understanding the company. With that in mind, I made a suggestion. I would like to start as an ordinary employee first. Some might find it strange to refuse a prepared seat as president. But given my nature, it would feel uncomfortable to be in a high position without understanding the company. Considering this, I decided to work as an ordinary employee for a while. Despite the unexpected proposal, James readily agreed. Disliking special treatment, I joined the company without revealing to the other employees that I was the next president. Now, James had asked me to take over as his successor. I had more than enough understanding of the company's philosophy and workplace atmosphere. From an ordinary employee to the next president might seem like an abnormal promotion to others. In the buzzing venue, I took the microphone from James. I am Brian, newly appointed as president. My colleagues and seniors, who had respected me, applauded with surprised expressions. The only one who remained motionless was Alex. Standing still as if time had stopped, with his mouth wide open. I continued speaking while looking at Alex's face. I have been subjected to various harassments by my superior, Alex. Yeah. He must not have expected his name to be mentioned. Alex finally showed a reaction. Unperturbed, I went on to reveal all the mistreatment Alex had subjected me to. Being forced to take on work unfairly, being yelled at for irrational reasons, and how he deliberately didn't secure a ticket for me to go to France this time. Many in the room were aware of these incidents. However, the information hadn't reached the upper management, and some were surprised to hear about these events. After giving a thorough explanation, I concluded with my final words. I aim to make this a company where no one suffers from such experiences. A few seconds after I spoke, thunderous applause filled the venue. Everyone clapping cast cold glances at Alex. No, but that was. Stammering, Alex tried to come up with an excuse. However, there was no one in the venue willing to take his side. Alex, if you have any rebuttals, please feel free to speak up. Well, that was just a bit of fun, sort of. Are you saying it was all just pranks or play? No, I wouldn't go that far, but... I was looking straight at Alex, but he couldn't meet my gaze and his eyes wandered. You mentioned earlier about getting on good terms with the new president for a promotion. Were you serious? That was a joke, kind of. I'd like to know on what basis you think you can build a friendly relationship with me after all the harassment. Well, you know, life is unpredictable. Alex continued with excuses that didn't hold up, sweating profusely. I simply glared at him in silence as he spoke. Initially, Alex continued with nonsensical excuses, but gradually, he began to speak less and less. Eventually, Alex lost all his words and fell into a state of panic. Suddenly, he crouched down, holding his head, and then stood up abruptly. Wow! With a strange yell, Alex ran out of the venue. He couldn't bear the situation and atmosphere any longer. Everyone in the venue was stunned, but it only took about 5 seconds to return to the initial state. The venue became lively again as if Alex had never existed. Then, James took the microphone and offered a toast. It was for me, the incoming president. There was no need to worry about someone like Alex anymore. Not just me, but everyone else must have felt the same. That day, I received more congratulations than ever in my life. I was made to drink so much beer that I was thoroughly drunk and barely remembered anything. The fact that everyone around me was happy about my appointment as president made me happy. I am aware that I am too young to be a president. Even so, I have confidence that I have put in as much effort as anyone else. Seeing my colleagues celebrating as if it were their own achievement, I was sure that my efforts were not in vain. Despite the harassment from Alex, the trip to France ended up being a great success. After returning home, I would soon start my duties as the new president. I was excited about the challenges of the new days ahead. The excitement outweighed the anxiety. The diligent effort I had continued to put in gave me unwavering confidence. Now, let's talk about what happened to Alex after he ran out of the venue. Ultimately, he never showed up at the company again. He fled back alone and sent in his resignation to the company. He supposedly job hunted after quitting, but he failed every interview. His inherently high pride, which he could never let go, caused him to take a high-handed attitude during interviews. The only job he finally landed was a part-time job at a convenience store. However, Alex, who always pushed work onto others, was inefficient and made constant mistakes. Unable to endure being scolded by high school part-timers, he quit in a hurry. Unable to pay his rent, he was eventually evicted from his apartment. According to a subordinate, Alex was spotted living in a cardboard house in a park. When our eyes met, he approached with incredible speed, clinging and pleading, "Please, ask Brian. Ask President Sanders to hire me back." I had no intention whatsoever of rehiring someone who had caused so much harassment. Hearing this story, I couldn't help but be astounded. With Alex gone, the workplace atmosphere improved significantly. I had wanted to create a company where no one suffers from harassment, and now, there's no one here who would do such a thing. The fact that I didn't have to take Alex's matter too seriously was thanks to the support of my colleagues at the company. Such connections are a treasure that money can't buy. I vowed to cherish human relationships even more and become a president who can empathize with others' feelings. Although I take pride in my efforts, I am still a novice president. Without becoming arrogant, I intend to continue to strive for improvement.